Now, in Senegal, the Prime Minister, Ousmane Sonko, this man right here, he went to Turkey on a flight and he was received by the president of Turkey in a beautiful discussion. In Angola, there's mayhem happening, okay? Mayhem, havoc, 22 people were unalive, 197 injured, and over 1,200 people arrested. We all want Africa's freedom, right? Africa's development. My question is this one. Is it about Africa doing everything by itself? Or is it about Africa making cooperation with people that respect Africa? I'm asking, is the freedom that we're looking for Africa about Africa constructing, building, transforming everything itself? Or does Africa need to work with people that respect Africa first? Then acquire the knowledge that they need and the equipment and the capacity, then maybe in the future continue things by themselves. Can you actually develop by yourself? I'm just asking a question because we all talk about colonialism. You need to cut out colonialism. Is the best way to develop Africa to completely cut out colonialism and all these people that were nasty to us? Or is there a way to discuss and cooperate with somebody that was not necessarily nice to you in the past, or an ex-boss that was not nice when you open your own business, and work with them, so you can grow your business? Or would you just cut him off completely? That's a good question. Fellas, we're in Senegal. Senegal is a beautiful place, lovely people. All the time, I'm not going to stop. When the place is nice, I'm going to talk about it. I'm not going to stop. If it's not nice, I'm going to talk about it. I'm not going to stop. And you're not going to stop me from talking about it anyway. Now, in Senegal, the Prime Minister, Ousmane Sonko, this man right here, he went to Turkey on a flight and he was received by the president of Turkey in a beautiful discussion. They've signed several cooperation agreements. Congratulations. Yeah, Senegal making moves. And let me remind you here, Senegal was colonized by France for many years. France controlled everything in Senegal, controlled. And things have changed now because recently the president asked French soldiers to leave.
I have instructed the Minister for the Armed Forces to propose a new doctrine for cooperation in defense and security, involving the end of all the foreign military presences in Senegal from 2025.
It makes no sense for a free country in 2025 to have another country's army walking in the street with tanks and stuff whilst the people are watching. It's unacceptable. Oh, back in time, matter of fact, when France was fighting World War II against Hitler, they brought in Senegalese people to go fight for them. The Senegalese people fought when France was occupied almost completely by the Germans, especially Paris. The Senegalese fought next to the French and they fought very hard. After completely taking Paris back from the Germans, guess what happened? This man here, General de Gaulle, asked the army to be cleaned of black people, meaning by the time the French army walks back into Paris, all the black people must be put to the side. They must not show black people coming into the city. Why? Because they wanted to cleanse the image of the army. You don't want the civilians to believe that my country needed to bring a bunch of black people to come and fight for us to be free. It was very necessary for this man right here. Anyway, let's get back on track. Now, Senegal is making big moves. They've gone to Turkey. Why? To sign agreement. Because Senegal cannot progress by itself. My brother, you can't build yourself by yourself. It's not possible. You can be free. Okay, just imagine you are free, right? There's no one else in the world. They just put you in the world. What can you do? What are you going to do? Not much. You need other people to grow. Sometimes the people you need to grow are not necessarily people that are your cousins or family members. Sometimes they're ex-competitors. Sometimes some people that if you were in a negative position, they will walk all over you. But you use them for your interest. Erdogan hosted an official dinner in Sonko's honor in gesture highlighting the visit's significance. You know, the Turkish president, he's not an easy human being. He stands to anybody. He doesn't give a continental. But he hosts a beautiful dinner for the Senegalese president. And I know some of you are saying, he's just trying to, marinate him. So, well, it's good provided it's not a colonizer. They didn't go to Senegal to colonize them. So he shows respect toward this African prime minister. Sonko praised Turkey as a brotherly nation and expressed admiration for Erdogan's leadership, particularly on global issues like Gaza crisis, where both leaders reaffirmed their support for Palestine. He went for agreement signing. So what are these agreements all about? The agreements covered key sectors, my brother, including trade aimed at boosting bilateral trade volume to $1 billion with the goal of reaching $3 billion. So what are these agreements about? So the agreement will be about defense, energy, mining, fishery, and agriculture. So Senegal is not just about dancing and stuff anymore. I mean, it's a beautiful place with a great culture. Look at these wrestlers. These are wrestlers in Senegal. They wrestle each other big time. And the good thing is this is traditional wrestling. But even though it is traditional, they have modernized it. They get sponsored. The winner get like 100,000 to 300,000. The winner of the big fight. I'm telling you, this is a big event in these countries. Look at the stadium. This is Senegal. Okay, let's get back on track. In Turkey. So the signed agreement, like I said earlier, defense, energy, mining, fishery, and agriculture. Now let's start with defense. What are they going to do with defense? Turkey is looking to supply military equipment such as drones, armed vehicle, and other systems. We know Turkey has a major reputation. They're building even more, growing reputation on defense industry, exemplified by companies like Baykar. They're doing great things right now. Actually, Turkey is very involved with many African countries in terms of defense. Turkey has supplied drones to several African nations such as Ethiopia, Burkina Faso, Mali for surveillance purpose and combat operations. So they have some of the best drones in the world. In the energy sector, Senegal is trying to, launch the renewable energy, and Turkey is playing a major role into this, particularly in solar and wind. They're trying to diversify the sources of energy. Things are moving, my brother. There's also the oil and gas sector. Like I said earlier, because Senegal has been colonized by the French, and the contract they had signed after independence, like many other French colonized countries, is that France get the first choice of whatever you have. If you have any mineral, any discovery, they come first. They make a choice whether they're going to buy it at a very cheap price and redistribute for you before any other actor comes. Well, in this time, Senegal says, no, we have oil and gas that's available and some other plant that's just been discovered. We are potentially going to work with the Turkish, to diversify. They're not saying let's kick the French away 100%. They may be working with the French a little bit, but let's try other people as well. I mean, that's how life is about.
The exploitation of our natural resources, which according to the constitution belong to the people, will receive particular attention from my government. So in addition to the mining, oil and gas contracts already posted on the EITI Senegal website, I will be disclosing the beneficial ownership of extractive companies in accordance with the EITI standard auditing and mining oil and gas sector, and providing more sustained protection for local content for the benefit of the national private sector.
Now, Turkey are known for being great farmers. They also have the technology. They're coming to Senegal to try bring in the technology and bring training for the local farmers. Isn't that beautiful? Somebody used to say that if you want to know what somebody will do in the future, just check what they've done in the past. The past tells you everything. And I don't know why people say, I don't want you to talk about my past. It's usually women. No, let's not talk about my past. My past is my past. My present is present. But when you go trying to get a job, they tell you to bring a CV, right? What's the CV about? They want to know your past. Where have you been before? What have you done? How long were you at that company? Why did you leave? What were the reasons? And why did you leave the next company? What was the reason? Were you fired? I mean, it's necessary, right? So you want to know about the past. But okay, forget about it. Just women don't want you to talk about it. Okay. Let's get back on track. Don't get frustrated. Now, we're talking about Turkey. What has Turkey done in the past in Senegal? Turkish companies have built major projects like Blaise Dain International Airport. This airport right here was built by the Turkish. Okay, it's massive, and a 50,000 capacity stadium built by the Turkey. So they've done some good project together. What have they done in Africa in general? In Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, Turkish has filled the void from the withdrawal of the French. These countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, they kicked out the French. Turkey has come providing economic support. They actually pledged $500 million in support to Mali after they received the Baykar TB2 drones. It's crazy stuff. Is this a good move by Senegal? Let me just remind you, a couple of days ago, Senegal annihilated all the visa-free access to all these foreign countries that require visas for Senegalese people. So all these countries from the West, the United States of America, France, and some other UK and stuff that ask for visas imperatively for Senegalese citizens will now not come to Senegal with no visa like they used to in the past. Congratulations to that again. There gotta be some level of respect. I mean, yeah, there must be respect. So Senegal is moving. They're making the moves. And I know a lot of people are criticizing the president and the prime minister because they did not say F you to France like everybody else expected, especially Pan-Africanists. They want you to cut somebody off completely. Sometimes you don't need to cut somebody completely like that. Sometimes you need to be strategic, like Putin does. He doesn't tell the United States of America F you, even though he can. He's playing very smart and clever. I mean, like everybody expected him to bomb Ukraine already with the massive bombs, so they can have reasons to say, oh, he actually the evil person. I'm not saying he's a saint, but he was very strategic. He's being strategic. People can't read him. Sometimes he's hard, sometimes he's cold. It's very difficult. Now, why not apply a very similar mentality? If not, I'm not saying become like Putin. Why not be slippery? Why not be smart, clever? Not necessarily chase somebody completely, but okay, we're working with you, but we also want the Turkish, we also want China, we want to diversify. We don't want you by the time you get angry to say, okay, I'm not working with you anymore so we can struggle. We don't want that. In Angola, there's mayhem happening, okay? Mayhem, havoc, 22 people were unalive, 197 injured, and over 1,200 people arrested. Why? Because there was big havoc in Angola. What happened in Angola? Well, people are very angry because of the price of the oil, the petrol, the gas, whatever you call it. I know in America, you call it gas. In Africa, they call it petrol. Some people call it fuel. I think Ghanaians call it fuel. Anyway, you get what I'm trying to say. Now, it's very expensive right now. And when the price of the fuel goes up, the price of everything goes up. The food, the clothes, everything goes up. Why? Because clothes and food need transportation.
I came to show solidarity with the Angolan people. People are suffering. We have to protest and show support. You see, the cost of living keeps rising, and we don't know what things will look like in the days to come.
Now, why has the price gone up? The price has gone up because the government of Angola will not subsidize the oil industry anymore. What are subsidies? Okay, you're probably asking yourself. I know you're smart, Some of us are not that smart, so let's be patient with each other. Subsidies are basically funds, okay, that the government will provide to certain area of business. Let's say things that are very necessary for the people. Food, bread, fuel. Why? So they will give these companies money, extra money, so they can provide the goods and services at a very low price without having to endure the costs by themselves. So again, subsidies are given by the government to certain companies that are very necessary to the poor people especially, or everybody in general, to help these companies not spend too much of their own money so that the final good price will be acceptable. Okay, so that's helped people, especially in Angola, like taxi drivers, all these taxis. You see these taxis, you find them in Angola. Same as South Africa and most other, matter of fact, African countries, mostly they use taxi, taxi bus or whatever you call it in your country. Now, these taxi drivers make their living through the subsidies because 90% of Angolans use these taxis, public taxis, for transportation. Now, when the price goes up by 33%, it's a massive hit for most people in a country where a lot of people live under poverty line. You know what I'm saying? Now, the government has decided not to provide that subsidy they used to give to the fuel company so that the price can be low, because now the price went up. People are very angry. They went to the street because the price of transportation has gone up. Everybody's angry. Now, by being angry, it's a right. You have the right to be angry, but that doesn't necessarily mean angry people do good things. Sometimes angry people do bad things, like looting, stealing, and taking from other people. Look at this. That's bad. You can be angry and voice yourself without destroying other people's businesses. You can be angry without stealing from other people. That is a possibility. And I don't know why Africans do this. I'm sorry. I'm not saying other nations don't do it, but I mean, this is America. This is America. They came to the street to say Black Lives Matter. That's why they went to the street, okay? Which is a cause that's respectable. Then they ended up stealing and breaking and stuff. I know there's a lot of politics into that, but why do you get involved with that? This is very sad. Now, that's a justification for law enforcement to enforce the law. And sometimes when they enforce the law, people are unalive. And I'm not saying to justify what has occurred, because it's very sad. Now, let's get back on track. Why has the subsidies been taken away? Well, it was an advice from IMF. They say the government cannot subsidize 4% of its GDP to fuel company. They need to allocate it to other things such as healthcare and education. Angola is a nice country. It's a beautiful place. The people are beautiful. However, the healthcare system is very poor. It's not good enough. Not good facilities, especially people outside Rwanda. It's not very, very nice. Therefore, they could allocate some of the money into those sectors such as healthcare, and education, schools, So many people are angry with the government because they feel like there's a lot of corruption happening. They feel like the money that's supposed to be subsidizing things, a lot of it is being allocated to personal people for personal use. A lot of Africans do that, unfortunately. They will ask for money from IMF and World Bank for good projects that make sense, like building schools, building hospitals. They end up spending most of the money on themselves. Now, that's the big deal that's happening in Rwanda right now. And again, Angola is one of the most interesting countries in Africa. Beautiful place. It's also the most expensive capital, Rwanda. The most expensive capital in Africa. I'm not sure about the world, but in Africa, it is the most expensive place. Very, very, very expensive. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. Senegal turning to Turkey for business, energy sector, agriculture, defense, mining, fishery, and they're looking forward to having great things happening in Angola. An explanation to you guys for what's happening in Angola. I want you to dive in and let me know how you feel about this. Okay, so South Africa is not happy right now. Okay, not happy at all. With who? With the Eswatini leadership. Eswatini is this country right here. You can see it's a kingdom. I believe one of the last kingdoms, totally kingdom. I don't know the English for that, but in the world. Okay, so the king is everything. The king is the boss. The king chooses everything. There's nothing like the king. I believe he has about 17 wives. Okay, don't judge the king. The king does what the king wants. We're going to talk about that just now. Now, why is South Africa not happy? South Africa is not happy because Eswatini has just signed an agreement with America. The agreement is about taking all these despicable people out of the United States of America and dump them in some country in Africa. Well, yes, despicable is the word that was used by an American diplomat to define the people that are being sent to Africa. The South African government has voiced deep concern over recent transfer of convicted criminals deported from the United States of America to neighboring Eswatini. Well, South Africa is very concerned about the profiles of these people. I mean, we're rejecting some illegal immigrants, and we're rejecting illegal immigrants that are rapists, killers, and all that stuff. That's totally different. It's also about national security and immigration policy, given the geographical proximity. I mean, look at this. This is Eswatini. It used to be called Swaziland, okay? I mean, look at this. This is a country inside another country, almost, okay? Right on north is Mozambique. In the south, everywhere else is South Africa. Basically, people from Eswatini are majority Baswati. And you find Baswati in Eswatini and Baswati in South Africa. So they're literally very same people. I mean, it's the white man that came and traced. I mean, they designed all that. They never existed in the past. Matter of fact, all these borders don't exist today. Yeah, you just need to take an airplane to see that. I mean, have you ever been in an airplane? Have you looked down as you fly? Do you see lines that separate? This is the border of my country. It doesn't exist. White people started that, okay? So Eswatini used to be, or it still is, matter of fact, geographically within South Africa. And they speak very similar language, like they can understand one another. They don't even need anybody to translate because they are the same people. Look at this. This is people from Eswatini, and these are the Zulus in South Africa. Look again, Eswatini and Zulus. What do you see the difference? There's no difference. Anyway, so because the country is within South Africa is not happy because they didn't check with them, right? There was no consultation with South Africa. Individuals convicted of serious crimes such as murder and rape will be in Eswatini with the potential of them running into South Africa. I mean, South Africa has a lot of problems to deal with already. There's a lot of crime happening in South Africa. A lot of it. I mean, matter of fact, when they talk about the cities in the world that are the most violent, there's always 3 cities of South Africa that appear every year. There's Johannesburg, Durban, and Cape Town. I mean, these are beautiful cities, no doubt about that. When it comes to, plastic, it's beautiful to see. Beautiful to be. I mean, a beautiful experience. But it's dangerous. I mean, a lot of South Africans won't understand this because when you're born to a place where dogs are always fighting, you tend to become blind and, you don't hear them fight anymore, right? You don't see it because it's part of your everyday life. Now, for the reality is different. There are still places you go, you don't want to go to. So who are these deportees to Eswatini? We're talking about individuals from Vietnam, from Jamaica, from Cuba, from Yemen, from Laos. Trump is taking people from all these countries and dumping them in Africa. I'm sorry, the word dumping just sounds bad. But when you define somebody as despicable human being, we need to get them out of the United States of America. Do you send despicable things to your neighbors that you value? Do you send despicable gifts to your cousins? You don't do that. I'm just saying, right? Where do you send despicable things? To trash, to the dustbin, to the dump. That's where you throw it. And historically, you've seen Donald Trump call these countries what? Shithole countries. So let's send all the despicable people to the shithole countries. I'm not inventing anything. I'm just repeating what's been said in the past. Why isn't there none of these people being sent to France or Belgium or Ireland in the name of, okay, it's just immigration, let's send them to Ireland? Why have they not proposed any of these things to Germany? Why only African countries? That tells you a nice tale that you need to know. South Africa said we're not going to accept this. We're not happy with this. Well, I don't know if they're going to really push back, or it's just word, because we do know that South Africa is going through a very rough time with the United States of America right now, with sanctions and annihilation of AGOA. Not officially, but with the 30% tariff. We don't know if South Africa will really push. It's like I'm angry. I want to ask you to get out of my house, and I'm angry, but I can't ask you to get out of my house because I get money from you for electricity. You know what I'm saying? Eswatini government has confirmed that the men are being held in solitary confinement in a named maximum security facility. So Eswatini knows that these people are very dangerous. Well, available evidence indicate that Eswatini received payment from the United States of America. The US government covers incarcerated costs of the deported. So there's money happening here. There's not just money. Eswatini also want to be on the good books of the US right now. Now, is this you giving your behind to somebody you don't necessarily respect? Because Africans talk a lot of crap about the US. I'm sorry, this is the truth. You also, the US does European colonialism. But in the meantime, you're still bending over. Despicable people to your country. How much money do you think it's worth that? Bringing those people that will potentially bring more crime and rapes and killings. I don't know. Does South Africa have the right to say, we're not happy with this? Because you're bringing people right next to our country. Inside our country. These are criminals. Can South Africa push back? South Africa is a little back foot right now with the United States of America, with things that happen. Can they really push back? Say, we don't want these people near our country. Do you think America would accept Russia to send criminals and stuff right next to, Alaska or by Canada or something? They wouldn't accept that, would they? So there was an helicopter crash in Ghana, if you heard of it. Did you hear about the news? There was a crash. A helicopter in Ghana that crashed and unfortunately took with it several lives. These are family members, parents, cousins, brothers, important people in society. May peace be with them, first of all. It is very painful. These are the type of things you don't necessarily see in Africa, okay? Helicopter crash. And we hear these stories. We heard it, not to say that it's acceptable when it's somewhere else. I'm just saying it's not something that usually happens in Africa. Do you know of the story? There was a crash in South America. The airplane crashed and many people were unalive. And after investigating, they found out that the majority of people in that plane were medical doctors, researchers that were confirming a theory that say there was a manipulation around cancer. Okay? These people had a treatment about that works. I'm trying not to say things that will get me in trouble. And these people that could provide that stuff were all in the airplane. The finances, the minds, the brains, the engineers, all of them. They were all alive in that crash. And let's just say that it happened by mistake. What do you think about that? So again, we are in Ghana. Here's Ghana. Beautiful place, lovely people. Very interesting place. I spent time in Ghana. I can tell you, there aren't many African countries where I felt at home. Never felt like a foreigner. Nobody has ever asked me, where you from? I actually remember somebody speaking to me, in local language, "Me Pacho, good afternoon." I'm like, "Huh?" So he goes, "But you are Ghanaian." I'm like, "No." I say, "You are Ghanaian. Why are you lying?" "Yeah, I'm telling you." Like, there's no trauma. I think some of the countries where people reject other people for no evident reason, it's usually trauma from something, whether it's visible or non-visible. If you look at the story, the history of the country, you see drama, killings, wars. It's usually that. And I believe Ghana never really had anything of that sort. Like killing people, wars, coup d'etats. I believe one happened, but long time. Nothing dramatic. So Ghanaians are naturally happy people. They don't have Boko Haram over there. So there's no worry that somebody's going to take your child, go turn them into child prostitute. They're cool. Anyway, now we were talking about Ghana. There are many people that were unalive in this plane crash, okay? But we're going to focus on 3 here, right? If we have time. Number 1, Edward Oman Boma, okay? This guy is a defense minister who's in that plane, okay? Defense minister is also a medical doctor. He had previously served as a communication minister. So, number 1, he's a defense minister, he's a medical doctor, and in the past served as a communication minister. We're going to talk about this man. Who is he really? Number 2, we're going to talk about a man named Ibrahim Martala Mohammed. Okay, this man served as a Minister of Environment, Science and Technology. Environment, Science and Technology. The first one was Defense Minister, served as a communicator, he's also a medical doctor. We need to find out, brother. When accidents happen, people go like, "Oh, God called them." Sometimes it's not God that called them immediately. Sometimes it's Satan. It's Satan that use some people so they can call them fast. Now, I'm not saying anything. Let's just look who these people are. Okay. Now, number 1, we back to this guy, Edward Oman Boma. So what has this guy achieved in the past? Let's just go through what they've achieved in the past. Well, the man focused on modernizing Ghana's armed force. So he wanted to modernize Ghana's armed force. He pledged $1 billion investment, okay, over 5 years to enhance the Ghanaian armed force. $1 billion. He wants to enhance the capabilities of Ghana, including advanced tactical vehicle, body armor, digital communication system. So he wanted to invest into the army to make the Ghanaian army stronger, more capable. He wanted to improve the technological capability. Number 2, in 2025, he visited Ouagadougou to strengthen Ghana's diplomatic efforts to address cross-border security threat, reflecting his strategic negotiation skills. So he crossed to Burkina Faso. Look at the border. This is Ghana, this is Burkina Faso. He went to Burkina Faso to have a discussion. Why? Because terrorists are in Burkina Faso, which is north of Ghana, right? He went to have a discussion with the team of Ibrahim Traore to have a discussion on how to tackle this threat. And with that, he showed his great negotiation skills. Number 3, housing and welfare. Well, this man Boma addressed severe accommodation shortage for over 17,000 Ghana military. Okay, 17,000 military force had no decent accommodation, and he addressed that by planning 10,000 new housing units across garnisons. He also introduced a Mahama Care health program for veterans. Soldiers had no housing. He initiated the program of housing for soldiers. Number 2, he came forward with a healthcare system for veterans. In many African countries, veterans are left to themselves. Number 4, he supported anti-Galamsey operation. We're going to find out what Galamsey is, okay? Anti-Galamsey operation by deploying Ghanaian force armed personnel to fight illegal mining. So Galamsey operation is illegal mining in Ghana. Okay? Illegal mining, doing absolutely bad things. And he's enforced the fight against this by sending soldiers to go and fight it. Now, this illegal mining, which we're going to explain, is very, very dangerous for the ecosystem of Ghana. Okay, it involves many people. Some are Ghanaians, some are Chinese, some are from other countries. They come illegally mine in Ghana using chemicals, destroying the environment, taking gold. Ghana has a lot of gold. Okay, lots of gold in Ghana. You see these people here? Call them Akan people. They have, see all the stuff they have in there? It's gold. It's real gold. Okay, actually, Ghana used to be a gold coast back in time. He sent military to fight illegal mining that was run by the Chinese. But also, Western nations were profiting from the illegal mining, buying and sponsoring people to go do illegal mining so they can buy gold at the cheap price so they can go sell. So let me recap. The man pledged $1 billion for the soldiers to modernize the capability of the Ghanaian force. Number 2, he went to Ouagadougou to have a discussion with Ibrahim Traoré team in order to have security across the region. Number 3, he created a house welfare for soldiers, building houses for many military personnel that never had. That's about 17,000 people. Number 4, he supported anti-GLMC operation, that's deploying soldiers against illegal mining that was run by the Chinese. Number 5, he offered money to soldiers that refused to be bribed by illegal miners. Okay, there was a specific guy he offered a lot of money and he promoted him for his integrity and professionalism. The soldier was also promoted in terms of levels. Now let's move to the next person that was unalived. His name is Ibrahim Murtala Muhammad. The man was serving Ministry of Environment and Science and Technology. Okay, this is a smart man, he's an intelligent man. What are the achievements of this man? Number 1, the minister was tackling illegal gold mining and major environmental issues in Ghana. You now seeing the picture? Yes, this minister was targeting illegal mining in Ghana. He was a staunch fighter against illegal mining. Let's see the difference between illegal mining and galamsey. While illegal artisanal and small-scale mining is regulated, galamsey operates without licenses, causing severe environmental damage, including deforestation, water pollution, example mercury contamination of rivers like the Pra and the Onkobra, and the land degradation. It also fuels the social issues like child labor and crime. Now, this man was fighting galamsey. Galamsey is basically the Chinese and these other people from other countries because they're all mixed. They come to the country that doesn't. Do you know there are 50,000 Chinese people in Ghana? Do you know that? They're all involved into gold mining. A lot of them are illegal. 50,000 people? That's a lot of people. So they go into areas that are not necessarily controlled, left behind, and they will target, they will mine into rivers. Now, they don't mine normally like normal illegal miners. They use chemicals. They bring excavators. They bring trucks. They put chemicals into the water to get the gold, and then the chemical destroyed the nature of the water. I mean, some of these rivers used to have fish. They were drinkable. Now people cannot drink it anymore. There's no more fish. They're dead. So this minister was combating and fighting against this. He proposed a reform aimed to impose stricter penalties, including jail terms for violators, and restrict mining in an ecologically sensitive area. So he came up with jail projects because some of these Chinese and other people will mine. Even when they're arrested, they finally left out. He said, from now on, we're going to jail them because that's the only way they understand. That's the only language they understand. Because you go mine in China, let's see what's up. How about that? How about you go to China and try use some chemicals and see how they're going to treat you? Damage. Chinese miners use toxic chemicals like mercury and cyanides to extract gold, polluting rivers such as the Pra, the Birim, the Ofin, and Ankobra. A study reports 250 rivers in mining community are contaminated with heavy metals. 250 rivers! And you want to watch them. Because some people, obviously, these Chinese don't operate by themselves. There are some Ghanaians that are eating behind them. Some poor Ghanaians, surely, they give them some small money, then they can support them. Now, these two people, as you can see, what do they have in common? Now, I know we're going far, but let me add one more thing so you can understand. This man also worked very hard in scientific work. What is it? He engaged consultants to secure international funding for research institutions such as CSIR. Now, let me break it down very quickly because we don't have much time. The CSIR is a Ghanaian institution that focuses on science, okay? They develop things, they do studies on Ghana, on how to develop and industrialize Ghana. They have about 2,000 researchers and scientific. What do? Okay, CSIR is financed by America. Okay, they finance a lot of it. And when Donald Trump came into power, want to cut the funds, they were in trouble. Now, what do these people do? They do crop improvement and breeding. So they create tweaking things, make sure the crops are resistant to weather change, to heat, to many things, to provide food for the Ghanaians. Number 2, they do soil and water management, okay? The CSIR do research to sustainable soil fertility. So they study the grounds, make sure the ground works appropriately with the seeds. They do food processing and value addition. They do land and water restoration. So you have a company here that works very hard for the Ghanaians to create things for Ghana to move forward. That is financed by America. Okay? Now, America of Donald Trump say we're not financing you anymore. Now, by not financing you anymore, these people will not have the ability to work for the Ghanaians anymore. Creating good seeds, getting good environment, cleaning the waters and stuff. So the Ghanaians are stopped. Now, this very last person wants to find the funding for this organization in alternative ways. Do you understand what I'm saying? So Ibrahim Murtala Muhammad said, you know what? We should not be depending on America all the time. Let's diversify. How about we go find some other places how we can be helped? Now, both of these people are unalive. So number one, we're fighting against illegal mining. Illegal mining, it's a connection, it's an organized crime. It's not just one or two little people mining. It's big organization funding them to do it. Some of the gold go to China, some go to America too. Okay? Recently, Ghana came up with a law. They recuperated their reserve gold. Most of the majority of reserve gold that's kept in America back to Ghana. Now, these people were involved during that decision of getting the gold back from the United States of America. One of them is the defense chief who wants to improve the army. He's no more. The other one is fighting against illegal mining. That is an organized crime. He's also finding alternative way to finance organism that's building Ghana. He's also dead. Now, who want them out? We cannot rely on external funding forever. It's time for Ghana to invest in its own science and innovation. We also push for increased government funding for CSIR, targeting 1% GDP allocation for this. Guess what we're talking about. Now, who took this man out? I mean, I'm just asking, did the helicopter waited for two people that are very prominent for it to fail? I'm just asking. Who did that? Option, we have many options. Option number one, maybe it's the Ghanaians themselves. Why? Because of, we know that. But when last did you see an accident of an aeroplane or a helicopter in Africa? Question mark, I'm just asking. Number two, who can take him out? Maybe the jihadist. Why? Because he went to Burkina Faso, have a discussion with them on how to fight the jihadists. Did the jihadists manipulate the helicopter so it can fall? It's a possibility. What does that mean? It means there's a breach of security. There is a big loophole where people can access the Ghanaians authority. Number three, it could be the country you don't name. You know the country you don't name. Well, they don't like it that you find alternatives to them. You know what I mean? I mean, if they finance you to do things and they put pressure on you through USAID, saying we're cutting the fund, they want to see you suffer. They don't want you to go to other alternative people. That's annihilating their strategy. Okay, so when they cut the fund, it's not because of the music. They're cutting the fund so you can react in a certain way that's beneficial to them. Now, if you don't react in that way and you go to another direction, it's clear they don't like it. Who do you think did this? I'm just asking. You let me know how you feel. Do you think this is poor maintenance? It's just an accident. It happened. The accident just waited when two prominent people that have done tremendous things. Number one, for the army of Ghana. Number two, to fight against illegal mining that is profitable for many organizations. Number three, combating against terrorists. Number four, strategizing in a way of equipping Ghana with its own scientific researchers and everything. Do you think it's poor maintenance? Do you think it's the terrorists? Do you think it's the country you don't name? Fellas, big things are happening. Big things are happening right now. And we have to talk about this. The Senegalese government is not playing with nobody. Okay, you see those things that your country does with the Europeans and Americans when they're very scared to express themselves? Not in Senegal. Senegalese hit everybody with major visas. Visa required for everybody except Africans. Congratulations. I'm gonna pick my coffee on this one. Yes, Senegal at 8 again. Here's Senegal on the map. Beautiful place, lovely people. I always talk very positively about Senegal. One of the most stable countries in Africa in terms of democracy. Yeah, you're gonna be safe in that country. Great culture, lots of food, good food, lots of wrestling and championships and all that stuff. And beautiful women, look at them. Dark-skinned women, natural hair, natural skin, absolutely amazing. Let's get back on track. I can see you staying away with the ladies. Anyway, what's happening in Senegal? Well, as early as August 2025, the Senegalese government under the Prime Minister, this man right here, Ousmane Sonko, has now unveiled a mandatory e-visa system to nationals of non-African countries. I feel like clapping hand again. So non-African countries will have mandatory screening and visa requirements before they enter Senegal. And this is great. This is amazing. I mean, this is amazing for the very first time. At least for the few times you find an African nation with leaders that actually stand for Africans in terms of immigration. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why this policy? Why cut everybody else off? I mean, isn't this reverse racism? Or at least racism? Isn't this, discriminatory? Well, the Senegalese government said the policy is based on reciprocity. Okay, reciprocity. Respect goes both ways. So if a country requires visas for Senegalese citizens, you will have to apply for a visa before you come to Canada. That is what you want to see. So if you want a Senegalese person, to apply for a visa before they come to your country because your country is special, then you're gonna have to apply for a visa to come to Senegal. Well, you see, Senegal is one of those countries that open its doors. You're trying to be nice to people. Sometimes you just want to be a nice person and you expect other people to be nice too. But unfortunately, people don't necessarily reciprocate niceness. That's a sad reality, Sometimes you're just trying to be nice and people think you're stupid. He's so stupid. Why is he letting everybody in his house? Why is he giving to everybody? But they don't understand you're trying to sow positivity. But by sowing positivity, some people perceive it as you being weak, Unfortunately, sometimes in life, you got to be strong. And Ousmane Sonko, this man right here, he's a prime minister of Senegal, has changed things. Now, if you want Senegalese people to go to your country with a visa, being screened and stuff, we're going to screen you. Well, why are we talking about this? We're talking about this because a lot of African nations have shown a lot of weakness. Can you imagine there are plenty of African countries today where Europeans and Americans can come for free, like no visa. They can come for 90 days, have fun, have kloof with your ladies. Anyway, forget about that. Just kidding. Do all the kind of things that you can never think about and go back to America with no problem. But in the meantime, for you to go to America, you need to go through 50 pages online of explaining whether you're not a terrorist, you've never been to Afghanistan, you don't know how to use a weapon, you've never put your finger, forget about the finger. You know what I mean? Why does that make sense? It makes no sense, right? It's stupid. It comes a time where you have to stand up and say, you know what, I'm going to treat you exactly the same way you treat me. So who is affected? Well, for now, travelers from countries like the United States of America, Canada, the UK, France, China, and others will now need to pay for e-visa before they go to Senegal. Congratulations! Make Senegal great again. That is what we want to talk about, right? That's what we want to. Senegal has got so much things to offer. It's a beautiful place. Look at this place. This is where the slaves were in Senegal before they were sent to America. They actually have a lake that's pink. A pink lake. Have you ever seen a pink lake? This is Senegal. There's so many things to see in Senegal. It's beautiful. It's actually a place you want to go do tourism. Now, before you come, you have to apply for a visa. Just the same way they ask Africans to apply for a visa. What are the goals here, fellas? Okay, there are certainly some benefits financially. Ousmane Sonko says that this is going to make 60 billion CFA franc for the country. That's approximately $100 million in screening Europeans and non-Africans and making visa benefit from it. This is great. This is ecstatic because guess what? European nations make billions of dollars from getting visas rejected on Africans. Did you know that? A lot of Africans apply for visas going to France, Belgium, Germany, you name it. They pay. You have to pay before your visa is processed. And whether your visa is accepted or refused, they don't reimburse you the money. So they reject the majority of applications, but they make the money. So they discover they can make a lot of money through Africans that are trying everything they can to go to Europe. So it's a business, get these little Africans come here, apply for visas, which we're going to reject anyway, but they're going to pay each like maybe $200 or something, and maybe $50 on top to accelerate the process. But we're going to say no. So how about Senegal does the same? They're going to generate $100 million for the country. Congratulations. We get my coffee on that again. Yes, we want that. Now, he says they aim to modernize immigration administration, secure migration procedures, reduce congestion at border posts, and ensure payments transparency. So Africans also are, pushing with technology. It's not just Americans, Yeah, the screening is also African now. In Senegal, they're going to screen you. Make sure everything is transparent. Don't lie on your application, my white friends. Make sure you don't lie, okay? Tell the truth. Send your real bank account and bank reports. Don't bring the fake ones before you go to Senegal. Now, let's talk about this. Now, did you know that some African countries allow Europeans to come with no visas, whilst these very African nations need to apply for visa before they go to those European countries? Did you know that? Or let me break it down for you. A country like South Africa allows Germans to come with no visa for 90 days. French people can go to South Africa with no visas for 90 days. British people, all these European people can go to South Africa with no visa for 90 days. But a South African cannot do the same when it comes to Europe. Did you know that? South African man has to apply for a visa and wait. And some get rejection in most cases, actually. Right now, they get much more rejection than they got in the past. And the black South African will tell you the reason why we're being rejected is because of the Nigerians. You know, the Nigerians are using our passport to do crime. Well, yeah, maybe are Nigerians using passports from South Africa to do... Yes, there are cases of Nigerians going to Southern African nations, not just South Africa, but also Namibia, where they will marry a local girl, okay, promise her the future and the paradise and all that stuff. Nigerians are beautiful when it comes to lying to women. Okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? But what will happen later on is once they get a passport from South Africa or Namibia, they'll go to either Ireland or Britain or Canada, where they usually used to go with no visa requirement. And then they will do whatever they want to do. And then when the crime, if they are involved in crime, is found, then they will say we are South Africans, and then they will investigate. This is a South African with the name Ikechugu or Echinege or anyway. You know what I mean? Now, the truth is this. It's not because of the Nigerians. You must remember one. Let me put it this way for you, my brother. Okay? South Africa was run by white people for a long time. White people of South Africa are the cousins of white people in Europe, whether you like it or not. Now, at a time where South Africans could go to Europe with no visa was the time where white people ran the country. Now, they couldn't stop it immediately because it would have looked weird when Nelson Mandela came into power. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we had white people running the country, we got free visa, and now you have a black person, you cut the visa. It would have looked weird. So they needed some years, for things to simmer down before they remind you that South Africa is not run by white people like us anymore. Therefore, you need a visa. You need to be scrutinized before you come here. So it has nothing to do with the Nigerian. It's just an excuse. Of course, they want you to hate on each other. Well, you may have genuine reason why you don't like the Nigerians, but that is not one of them that justify the fact that you need visas. But what I'm talking about here is what? South Africa is among the countries in Africa. There are a few other countries that allow white people to come to Africa with no visa. And the black people in South Africa will tell you about these white people don't do crime. Well, my brother, you can't go to Europe with no visa requirement. If you're happy with that, then I think you have a problem. Okay? And Namibia, very recently with this lady here, is a very strong Mama Nandi. Okay, in Africa, yeah, the respect is like that. Even if she's not your mother, you're going to call her Mama because of, that's the way it is. A child in Africa is never a child of one person or one family. A child is everybody's child. So everybody looks after the child. They take care of the education. So if a child, for instance, let me give you an example. If your neighbor or somebody that knows you sees your child in the street, at the time they are supposed to be at school, they literally have the right to scream at, "Hey you, what are you doing?" Like back in time, they will slap them, but that's not authorized anymore because things have changed. But now they can tell her, "I will tell your mother, go back home." And even if they see a little girl that's 14 years old with a boy talking in the street, they will scream it. So we have that sense of respect. Let's get back on track. This lady here, who's the president of Namibia, on reciprocity said from now on, since you have not reciprocated, we've allowed you to come to our country visa-free, and you are not doing the same. She literally said, from now on, if my country need a visa to your country should need a visa to my country. I'm saying congratulations. And there are plenty of African countries that allow Europeans to come with no visa while they need to go struggle for visa. And I think that's shameful. It is shameful. Well, things have changed now. What are the countries that are affected by Senegal? We have France. France was a colonizer of Senegal. So they had free access to Senegal. That's over now. No more. The United States of America with Donald Trump, that's, puts many countries to the side. They can't come to America. Well, you can't go to Senegal either. Yeah. And the UK, just to mention a few countries. Well, unfortunately, there are some African countries too that cannot go to Senegal right now because of the reciprocity. Okay, it's just weird that some African countries will allow Europeans to come with no visa, but block other African countries who have done absolutely nothing wrong with them, and they don't have a history of criminality. I mean, which criminal from Senegal do you know in your country? Well, the countries that are affected are these ones. We have Morocco. We have South Africa that cannot go to Senegal with no visa. Unfortunately, we have Algeria. They have to get a visa before they go to Senegal. We have Ethiopia. So we have South Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Egypt. They have to require a visa. Well, it is very sad that, some African countries should now have to get a visa to go to Senegal. Well, I guess Senegal opened the door for a long time. And out of respect, you should reciprocate because you have the right to screen the people and understand. Senegalese people are not like Zimbabweans in South Africa. They're not going to go and stay forever. I'm sorry, my Zimbabwean people. I'm just telling the truth. Senegalese people are not Nigerians. They're not going to go start a drug dealing pot or human trafficking situation. I'm sorry, not all Nigerians, but those ones, you know them. Even you know them. So let's continue. Senegalese people, they don't want to come stay in your country. They don't have time for that. They have a beautiful place, lovely culture. So I think it just makes sense that if Africans are going to come together as a strength, then you need to look at each other as brothers. And if you're not going to open the door for everybody, at least start opening the door for certain people. Senegal is one of the stablest countries in terms of democracy in Africa. So I don't understand how you will close your door to them. Well, South Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Egypt, Ethiopia, unfortunately right now are in the same basket as America, France, UK, and everybody else. Congratulations to Senegal. Yama coffee. Well, now we're going to Rwanda. Fellas, this is Rwanda here. Rwanda is a very interesting place. They have a very good culture, a lot of cows, all these cows with very, special horns. Look at these cows here. They love the cows. Cows is synonym to wealth. It's cultural. It's part of their identity. Rwanda also has a very good culture of, drinking milk. Beautiful culture of beautiful ladies. Look at all these people right here. Look at this 1, 2, 3, 4. Very interesting. Anyway, let's get back on track. Now, Rwanda has accepted 250 people, 250 immigrants that Donald Trump has rejected. Okay, I don't know how you feel about that, but yeah, they're going to be accepted in Rwanda. Trump has rejected them. They don't want them in America. They think they're criminals. They think they're despicable people, but they're going to be sent to Rwanda. And Rwanda has said yes. Now, Rwanda is going to keep the right to select the people they want to accept or not. And each candidate will be scrutinized depending on their situation. Rwanda will provide job training for them in healthcare. As far as now as we know, no deportees are free to depart. So you're going to Rwanda to stay until they decide otherwise. Yes, Rwanda is apparently getting compensated for this. It's not for free. How much amount, we don't know yet. But we know there was a country in South America that received $6 million for a bunch of criminals that were incarcerated. Now, are these people getting incarcerated in Rwanda? No, they're not going to jail. They're going to be housed. Now, we know Rwanda has a history of, accepting immigrants. They had an agreement with the UK where they accepted many migrants. UK paid them about $300 million. That was the least. It was much more, but that was the least. So Rwanda was to provide apartments and locations and, establishments for these people to stay. But unfortunately for this entire project, later on, it was cancelled by the new government. They say it was not working. But Rwanda still required money from the UK, so you still owe us a few $1 million as promised. Rwanda correct to do this. Well, I know you might be wanting to criticize them, but what I can say to you is Rwanda has to do what Rwanda needs to do for Rwanda to move forward. I mean, Rwanda is not necessarily a very rich country like some other mineral countries, but they need to be smart enough to build the roads. They need to have money for the government, money for hospitals. Rwanda provides free health care for the people. So it's not necessarily about the money you have. It's mostly about how smart you are. Yeah, they provide free health care for people. For the majority of people, for over 90-something people in Rwanda can go to the hospital and get treated appropriately. Good quality. I'm not talking about in some countries free healthcare is not nice quality. Many people choose to go to private hospitals to get good quality. Well, they get good quality because everybody has to pay tax. Anyway, is this a good thing or not? I don't know. What are the dangers? Who are these people? 250 people. Are they criminal? Are they dangerous criminals? Could they slip away from the country and go to the neighboring countries? It's a possibility. Could they start something, a gang or whatever? It's a possibility. Well, I hope the people are doing the necessary precautions to prevent that. What is for sure is that Rwanda is one of the countries in Africa with the least criminality because they don't play. They will deal with you really bad. Have you ever heard Nigerians going to Rwanda doing that? You never heard about that. I know my Nigerian people feel very touched. But anyway, thank you very much, fellas. I appreciate you. Like I said, Senegal has blocked the roads. Now you're going to have to ask for a visa. okay, an electronic visa to come to Senegal. They will scrutinize you. They will ask you who's your father, who's your grandfather, who's your grandfather, who was your uncle's grandfather. They will make sure that you're not involved in any terrorist organization, check whether you know how to use a weapon. They will scrutinize you big time. In the meantime, Senegal has opened doors for most African countries. So most African people can go to Senegal visa free. Do you accept every and anything in the name of peace? When you find yourself perhaps in a difficult situation, let's say you renting at your cousin's house at a very low price, okay? Because it's your cousin. Number two, you're going through a difficult time. You have no money or your job has just kicked you out, but you got children. Then your cousin comes up with a rule saying that you have to enter your room or your house before 7 p.m. You're an adult. How do you react to that? You're an adult. You're still trying to find things to work for you because you were kicked out of your job. You're obviously trying to hustle to find another job, but you got a family. Now you have to leave the house where you used to live because you can't pay it anymore. The only alternative you have is staying at your cousin's townhouse. You know what a townhouse is? You know, where you have like numbers of houses in the same compound. That's what Nigerians call it, compound or yard. It's one yard with many houses. That's a townhouse, right? Now, your cousin's got townhouses and he lets you stay in one of the houses in his townhouse. But the rule says 6 p.m. is the limit for you to enter the house. You want to stay in my house, you have to be here before 6 p.m. Do you agree to that, Alonso? The next thing is your cousin is from a different religion and you're not from that religion. He says, oh, for you people to stay at my place, since you've been staying here already for 1 week, you all have to convert to my religion or else you get out. How do you react to that? I mean, obviously you need to think if you've got children and stuff, you need to be cautious. But it comes a time where you say, you know what, I don't think I can do this. I mean, thank you very much for hosting me for the past 6 days, but I cannot come home before 6 p.m. It just makes no logical sense. Since I'm in a very difficult situation, I'm trying to find myself. And again, thank you so much for your assistance, but I cannot change my religion solely because you say so. And you're saying that for me to stay at your house, I must change my religion. I mean, a lot of people will curve into that. Trust me, no doubt about that. A lot of people can accept anything provided they are gifted a little bit of sustenance to survive. It's sad. Some people will betray their own people provided they are nourished. Well, there are a group of people, fortunately, that today will stand strong in spite of the difficulties you put them through. South Africa. South African Authority has rejected an offering, a proposal by South African big company. This is a mining company. Well, the mining company has basically said to the South African government, without going through the minister, seeing the president directly, saying, Mr. President, have you thought about this? How about you offer the United States of America access to rare minerals? Should alleviate the problem that you're going through right now. You do know South Africa and the United States are going through hurdles right now. They're not seeing eye to eye. You know, America accusing South Africa of genocide against white people.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
Of taking land from white people by force with no compensation and many other stories. You see that, right? And right now, the US has imposed sanctions on South Africa. Number two, has stopped the aid they used to provide to sick people. You know, people living with HIV and tuberculosis used to get medication and supply coming from the United States of America through USAID. That is stopped. The United States of America has imposed 30% tariff on South Africa goods.
Yeah, I think it is. It is a very low level, particularly because since the last 30 years, there has been disagreements with the U.S. administration on a number of issues. But the diplomatic lines of engagements have always been open. And there has not been a situation where like we do now, where some of the issues come into the domestic sovereign space, like the issues of expropriation, which are dealt with by our courts, by our laws, and there is sufficient safeguards domestically to handle them.
Well, USA is South Africa's second distributor, second trader, biggest trader in the world after China. So that's a major blow. South Africa used to benefit from AGOA, which allowed them to send things to the US, meaning agricultural good, car equipment, car exchange, and many other goods at zero tariff, meaning the market in the US became just an extension of South Africa, so they could make a lot of money. That has stopped. Now, the president, this man right here, good man, he's good looking, isn't he? Yeah, he's been trying to fix things between them and America. However, it's been very difficult.
The looming deadline with regards to what President Trump announced as South Africa, when we went to the White House, we started a process of engagement. And that process continues. The Minister of Trade and Industry and Competition continues to engage with his counterpart in the United States. And I am hopeful that we will be able to reach an understanding. We've made a clear proposal and offer to them, and they are examining that, and they will come back to us.
Now, somebody big from a big company, a big mining company, has gone to the president and Mr. President, how about you offer these things to the United States of America? Give them access to the minerals. This should alleviate the problem. He went to the president without going through the Minister of Mining himself. This man right here, Minister of Mining, Gwende Mantashe, is the Minister of Mineral and Petroleum Resources. This is what he said. We do not want a strategy of supplying critical minerals exclusively to the United States. We need a comprehensive strategy aimed at developing the mining industry in the interest of all market players. So in other words, you remember what America did with Ukraine, okay? The deal with mines. You want the war to end in Russia, you got to sign the deal. Remember that pressure?
Really partnering with Ukraine in terms of rare earth. We very much need rare earth. They have great rare earth. We don't have that much of it here. We have some, but we don't have that much, and we need a lot more to really propel us to the next level of, we need resources. We have to double our electric capacity. We have to do many things. We have to really triple, if you think of it, the electric capacity from what we have right now, if you can believe it. It brings us great wealth. We get back the money that we've spent, and we hope that we're going to be able to settle this up.
When Zelensky went to the United States of America and was embarrassed in front of like 30 different men, putting pressure on him.
Not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
For him to sign the deal, right, of signing away the minerals, of, you know what I'm saying? The same thing they've done to the Congo, this country right here, DRC, different from this guy. I know there's confusion. There's two Congos, the DRC and the Congo Republic, two different countries. DRC is this one, it's the country at war. If you hear war in Africa, it's the DRC. Well, the DRC has been at war for the past 30 years. Why? Because a lot of things. One of them is the mineral. They have a lot of it. Gold, diamond, lithium, copper, you name it. They even have uranium. Matter of fact, the uranium used to create the atomic bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, the one the American dropped.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Was pulled out of the DRC in Shinkolobwe. Yes. How have those minerals done for the DRC? Absolutely nothing. The country is at war, it's poor, people are suffering, and it's bad. Don't tell me it's rich, it's not. Because rich is not about how much minerals you have. Rich is about how much brains you have. So you can activate the action the mineral can actually bring to the normal citizen. That is not happening in the Congo. Now, the USA has signed a deal with the Congo to end the war in the Congo. Congo has been accusing Rwanda of being the intruder in the Congo and creating the mayhem and all the rebels that you see.
Rwanda's defense forces, in support of their M23 puppet, are continuing their terrorist enterprise on our territory, sowing terror and desolation among our populations. These acts are not only an attack on the Republic, but an affront to the history and dignity of our people.
So Congolese have accused Rwanda of all of that. Rwanda comes into Congo through rebels, pretending that they are Congolese rebels, but actually Rwandese. Their objective, as per DRC, is to steal all the minerals from the DRC. Therefore, DRC went to the United States of America, having a discussion with the President Trump. The goal was, okay, if the United States of America, or any other country for that matter, purchases lithium, gold, cobalt, copper from Rwanda, meaning the good that is extracted by Rwanda from the DRC, why couldn't they, the DRC, just sign a deal directly with the buyers, the United States of America, and cut Rwanda off? Well, after doing that, they thought they were playing a very big game. Unfortunately for them, Donald Trump said, okay, we cannot sign a deal with just you. We actually have to sign a deal with Rwanda as well. So the three of us. So y'all thought you're going to get the deal between you and Trump. Now, Trump said, no, we need to include Rwanda. But then I think about it and I'm like, why didn't you just discuss with Rwanda then? Have a discussion and resolve this immediately between the two of you. Now you've brought in Trump, you've got a third party. So whatever you had to divide by 2, now you have to divide by 3. So basically, keep in mind, Ukraine had the deal, but the deal is not active yet. But the one in the DRC is already active. The Ukrainians are willing to fight. They're not willing to sign any deal with Trump and the Russians for their good. Let's continue. Now, this is a very similar situation they're trying to bring into South Africa, okay? They're trying to get South Africa because of the pressure. Okay, you remember, there's pressure in Ukraine, which comes from the Russian war. They asked the Ukrainians to sign a deal or else the war continues. Ukraine said, maybe not.
I think it will be chaos. The fighters, the guys who are now fighting for our land, for pieces of our land, I think they won't listen to Zelensky, and we will keep pushing, because this is our land. How can we give it to someone just because they took it? I don't think it is going to work out.
There's pressure in the Congo due to the war Congolese say comes from Rwanda. US uses that to say, you sign the deal with the minerals, then we can end the war. The Congolese sign. Well, there's pressure in South Africa in terms of economics. Now there's a potential solution brought by a major player saying, offer them the minerals so we can end the pressure. And the South African minister said no. Well, let me put a context to you. Most of the big companies, okay, in Africa, not just South Africa, are run not by Africans. I'm sorry, I'm just putting it this way for you. I know you may disagree and this and that. Yeah, there are some Africans that are doing great. Absolutely. But in major cases, when somebody says just give them, what they want, give them the minerals, it's probably one of their cousins. You know what I'm saying? You get the point. Okay. A proposal by South Africa's biggest mining company, you heard, biggest mining company, and other business leaders advising President Cyril Ramaphosa on how to offer the US access to Africa's critical minerals angered the nation's mining minister, who saw it as an attempt by the firm to advance its own interest. A firm is asking the president to offer minerals to the United States of America in return to get pressure alleviated. Now, what are we talking about here? We're talking about coal, chrome, ore, iron ore, manganese, platinum as critical minerals. This is what the United States of America is looking for. Now, this is different from what you find in abundance in the rest of Africa, which is copper, cobalt, lithium. You need all that. You find a lot of that in the DRC. Lithium, copper, and cobalt are things you need for very important things such as your cell phone. Like if you have a cell phone, you need a battery for it. You probably have blood from the Congo in your hand. So you need to treat those people really good, actually. All of us, I'm telling you. Because, Congo has the biggest producer in the world of the stuff that you need for your batteries, and not just batteries for cell phones. We're talking about computers. We're also talking about electric cars. So how do you think those people will want peace to be in that Congo? Because if they're not gaining at 100%. So again, this is what Gwede Manteshe said. He said, we do not want a strategy of supplying critical mineral exclusively to the United States of America. That is a deal they wanted to sign with Ukraine. Exclusive. So we only us, we're going to access your stuff. And I bet you this is very similar deal they signed with the Congo. Only us, nobody else is coming here without our authorization. We do not want a strategy of supplying critical minerals exclusively to the United States. We want comprehensive strategy aimed at developing the mining industry and the interest of all market players. That's a good thing that a country has somebody in a position of mining minister that can read between the lines and cut out the bullshit. Say, no, we're not going to accept this. As you can see, South Africa is willing to stand strong, okay, against the pressure, which is a very good thing, as much as apparently they are begging, because apparently they are trying to get things right with the United States of America. But when it comes to that line, when it comes to the 6 p.m., this is 6 p.m., you have to come and say, no, we can't come in between 6 p.m. No, we have things to do. When it comes to minerals, no, we can't touch that, okay? There are many things they want South Africa to change, like a program called BEE. It's Black Economic Empowerment. Black Economic Empowerment was a creation with the goal of helping Black people, catch up financially in terms of commerce, business, position in companies. In many, many years, white people ran South Africa in all areas, commerce, business, and everything else. You didn't find many South Africans living in good position in terms of, work and stuff like that, and business and contract. Well, BEE was created to help many black people catch up financially, get contract, get position, get, that balance, financial balance to give the black people a bit of a length. But it's been combated. And right now, the administration in America don't like the BEE very much. They haven't expressed it openly, but they don't want it because they think it's racist. But BEE was created to reverse the racism that was applied to black people in South Africa for many, many years. Because today, many white people in South Africa have length of advantage over black people for many, many things, many advantages they've had over life. And I'm not saying not all white people, but the majority do.